An arrest has been made in New Brunswick. Peter, what can you tell us?
Well, there's more life on the streets of New Brunswick. Moncton this morning early, we're into the 1 o'clock hour to 2 o'clock hour. Really, that I've seen in the last 30 hours that people here are celebrating, honking their horns, hugging each other, coming out to just be a part of this moment. It's as if a great weight has been lifted off their shoulders. This city shut down in a way I've never seen a city do before in a situation like this. No buses on the street, no kids going to school, people weren't leaving their houses, police asking for patience, asking for people to be safe and stay in their homes, and that's exactly what they did until this situation has finally come to an end with the apprehension of the suspect who killed 3 RCMP officers and injured 2 others.
And we have the update of one of the victims. We can confirm is Constable Dave Ross. I think we have a photograph of Constable Ross. He was a police dog handler. He leaves behind his wife, who is 6 months pregnant, and their 1.5-year-old son. So that is confirmation on one of the 3 RCMP officers shot dead last night in Moncton. And, you know, Peter, it's interesting. We were hearing some people in the community today talking about the fact that when it comes to police, there's really only 3 degrees of separation in Moncton. Somebody inevitably has a family member or a friend who is in the force. Give me a sense, if you can, on just how tight-knit that community is and what a sense of loss this has been. Also for the police force, who had to continue on with this massive manhunt.
Well, that's right. I mean, it was really something that sent chills down your spine when you saw it. These men and women, the RCMP, who are part of this detachment, who just lost 3 members, they are out here. They were out here for hour after hour, making sure the perimeter was safe, doing the searches home by home. And there were moments when people from the community came up to them, they shook their hand, they thanked them for their service, they gave them a hug if they would allow them, because they were very much on guard, and they thanked them. And really, that's what showed what was going on in this community. It is a very small community, and you know, you were in Mayerthorpe, I was there as well, and just seeing the way a community rallies around their police force, the same type of thing really is happening here. People wanting to thank these officers for their service and tell them that they aren't alone, and they will be there to support them through the loss of their colleagues. There was some positive news that one of the 2 injured officers earlier today, he was released from hospital. We understood that both of the officers that were injured had surgery. One of them, we're told, was released from hospital and is doing quite well.
That is very good news. And again, the tweet from the RCMP New Brunswick: Justin Bourque arrested by RCMP at 12:10 Atlantic time. He is in police custody. Residents of North Moncton can now leave their homes. And honestly, Peter, it is a rare day when a city in this country is in this kind of lockdown, and as you say, schools closed and hospitals, elective surgeries canceled, this sort of thing. What kind of manpower was on this manhunt today?
Well, there were hundreds of police officers, and obviously the detachment here isn't that big, and so they brought in RCMP members from right across this province. Members dropped what they were doing so they could be here to be part of this, to support their colleagues, to support their friends, their brothers and sisters. And so they came here. Came in with armored vehicles. They came. They had helicopters in the skies. They had canine units. Everything they could do, they did. And they had a show of force that I haven't seen in a city in a very, very long time. They made sure that every single inch of this area was covered. And that's where we were there last night, near the Moncton Coliseum. That's near where the suspect was arrested earlier tonight. And that's exactly where they were putting the pressure down in this community, trying to keep that perimeter up, make sure he wasn't moving outside of it, keep him bottled up in there, and they knew that eventually they could squeeze him out.
Peter, thank you for this. Michelle Thibodeau had a unique experience tonight from inside her home, watching live with her own eyes out her front window the arrest of this suspect, Justin Bourque. She joins me now on the line. And Michelle, first of all, for your family, the first thing that was happening outside that gave you a sense you are now very much involved with the largest manhunt, in Canadian history.
Yes, absolutely. It's quite petrifying, but we're so thankful that they have him in custody now.
We have video now of that arrest, so we're going to take a look at that. Michelle, if you can tell us exactly what happened. Police are taking the man. He still had the camouflage. It's a little difficult to see the footage. Michelle, take us through exactly what you saw.
Okay, well, the SWAT team was driving by our house very slowly, and all of a sudden they unloaded, all the officers unloaded from the truck, and they proceeded to head towards my backyard, and they were screaming, "Come out with your hands up." And at that time, my family all crouched down to the ground because we weren't sure if there were going to be gunshots fired. But all of a sudden, he came out. He was hiding. It looked like he was hiding behind a tree or something. And he just came out with his hands up, and he said, "I'm done." And they took him to my front yard and laid him on the ground. And they had a gun to him, but they didn't use it, thankfully. And then they put him in the vehicle and proceeded to search the rest of my yard for other firearms and potential suspects. And now they are just clearing the scene, and I saw some of the officers taking off their bulletproof vests, which is a really good sign that the danger is gone.
It certainly is. Did you have any clues at all leading up to the sign of those SWAT teams initially that something was happening?
Yes, the teams and the officers kept kind of surrounding my house. I mean, there were times when we had cop cars on the left of my house, cop cars on the right of my house, and then the highway's right in behind my house, so we had cop cars there too. So it seemed like for quite a while, actually throughout this whole process, they were surrounding my house a lot. But like I said, the woods behind my house is only a few trees thick, so I'm not sure if he was kind of running around, but they eventually did find him there. So
how far is your home from Moncton?
My house is in Moncton. It's in the Hildegard subdivision.
Now, I don't know the Hildegard subdivision, but we have a man who certainly does on the line, and it is Mayor George LeBlanc. So, Mayor, first of all, thank you for joining us. Also, what can you tell us about the arrest of this suspect?
Well, Lisa, I'm advised that the RCMP have the suspect in custody. They have him alive, obviously, and that this is very, very good news. I want to congratulate the RCMP for a job very well done in the most difficult circumstances imaginable. So it's very good news, Lisa.
You took an unprecedented step today, closing down all government buildings, and I believe the word was indefinitely. And here you are 24 hours later with this enormous relief for the people in your city. Were police able to give you any of the details on how they zeroed in on this suspect?
I haven't received that officially from the police, Lisa, so I can't confirm the details and specifics of it. However, the fact that they were able to arrest suspects and bring him in alive in such, I mean, this is a person who is accused of shooting 5 policemen and killing 3. That's exceptional police work in the most difficult circumstances imaginable.
And we are watching the footage now, Mayor LeBlanc, of the actual arrest. And as you put it, exceptional police work. And also speak to the fact that these officers were conducting this massive manhunt and basically having to park their own emotions, having lost 3 of their own officers.
Yes, exactly. So it's really a tremendous relief to us and to the people of this community. I want to emphasize, Lisa, the the fact that 3 members have lost their lives, 3 families have lost their husband and father, and we have 2 other members who've been seriously injured. And so I want to extend, again, my very sincere condolences to those families, and we will be there to do whatever we can to support and help those families.
As does this entire country is really thinking of those families as well, Mayor LeBlanc. And I want to get a sense from you now on lockdown totally lifted, everything's open tomorrow. Give us the update on that for the viewers who are watching, and this will impact their lives after having been locked inside their homes for the last 24 hours in fear.
Absolutely, Lisa, and we intend to lift everything. City Hall will be open as usual, so we're going to try and get things moving as quickly as we can.
Have you ever in your experience imagined or had to deal with an incident of this magnitude?
Never, Lisa. This has been the most difficult of times for us here in Moncton, and you can imagine, knowing as you do what we've been through here, that this is it's very good news in very difficult circumstances.
Also remarkable police work, as you say, Mayor LeBlanc, and that no shots were fired in the arrest of Justin Bourque not so long ago this evening. And Peter Ackman joins us now with also someone from the city. Peter, give us a sense on the reaction from the townspeople.
Well, it was immediate. Horns honking, people hugging, coming out into the rain just to celebrate a little. This is Tiffany Henry. Family lives in the cordoned-off area. What's the last 30 hours been like for you?
It's been nerve-wracking, horrible, very, very horrible. I mean, I've been nervous for my family who's been in the subdivision, my boyfriend's family as well, friends and family. It's just all been around here. I've been in and out of this subdivision for the past, I don't know, as long as this has been going on, dropping off friends, picking up friends, making sure that everyone's okay. I actually live on Salisbury Road, but I mean, my family's here, so this is where I am.
This is a big relief for you and your family?
Very, very big. I'm out standing in the rain celebrating the great news.
What does it mean? Did you think this would go on a long time?
Kind of, I did, but at the same time, I had great hope for the RCMP to catch this guy, and it's about as good as it can get.
The RCMP mean a lot to this community. I saw you chatting with them.
Yes, I love the RCMP, and I've always thought about being an RCMP myself.
There you go. Tiffany Henry, family is very relieved, and as people are celebrating here, happy that this arrest has finally been made. Lisa?
I think we can actually feel that in her response, Peter. Thank you for this. Michelle Thibodeau joins us now, living in a Moncton neighborhood, who actually watched all of this unfold. Michelle, first of all, where were you yesterday when you first heard about these shootings?
Yesterday, I was at work in downtown Moncton, and I was not able to go straight to my house afterwards. I stayed with my grandmother overnight, and then I was able to get to the lockdown part of the city and stay with my family today.
And do you have, tell me about your family, mother, father, brothers, sisters. How many people were inside the house when this dramatic event was unfolding on your front lawn?
It was my mother, my father, my older brother, and his girlfriend, and our dog, and myself.
And you must have been nervous watching out the front window, concerned that perhaps bullets would be flying.
Absolutely. My heart immediately dropped to my stomach. It was terrifying. We were all shaking. It was a very, very scary moment, but we had a lot of trust in the RCMP and the SWAT teams, and they did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit more about that. Peter Ackman just asked perhaps one of your neighbors, her reaction to the RCMP. What do they mean to that community?
Oh, the RCMP has a special place in our heart. I mean, their bravery was unwavering during this entire situation, and they just kept going. We are so proud of them, and I think we will honor them forever in this community, and we always have and we always will.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show everybody the tweet that the RCMP have just put out saying Justin Bourque was arrested by the RCMP at 12:10 in Moncton. This is a picture of the confirmed one of the RCMP officers killed. That was Constable Dave Ross, who was a police dog handler. This is the tweet. He's in police custody. Justin Bourque, residents of North Moncton, can now leave their homes. And Michelle, you, of course, knew before anybody else that people could leave their homes because you saw it happening right there. And he did look exactly like the picture that now this entire country and beyond is very familiar with, that image of this suspect with the two long guns over each shoulder and the camouflage.
Yes, he looked exactly like in the picture.
Was there, just dead silence in your home when this was happening? I can't even imagine it.
No, there was not dead silence. We were trying to be quiet so that they could work outside, but there was a little bit of panic in my house, and certainly they conducted themselves very well outside. It took about 5 minutes for Justin to actually show himself, but in that time they just remained calm and they did a very, very good job.
And you have absolutely no idea what tipped them off? Were you able to talk to any of the RCMP officers once you realized it was safe?
No, I was on the phone when my mom came and told me that it looks like it's safe now. It still wasn't safe when I got on the phone. And
it's the black of night, so you really weren't able to see probably that clearly what was happening outside?
Luckily, we did have our porch lights on because we were informed to do so. So we could definitely see him when he was arrested, and we could see in the backyard. And also, they all had lights on him flashing, and they had their guns up and everything. We could see it happen.
Unbelievable. Michelle, thank you. Someone who has spent her entire day looking into this suspect is Katie Simpson. She also joins us from Moncton. Katie, very dramatic developments that we are hearing from, an actual eyewitness to this arrest. Tell us what you know about this suspect.
Well, there were so many dramatic accounts of what had happened over the past 24 hours, with witnesses seeing the shooter walk the streets. And of course, we spoke with some of those witnesses earlier today with about exactly what they saw. One woman who is a neighbor of Bourque's, he lives in a nearby trailer park, and she says she saw him walking down the street. He had his weapons, but he wasn't looking at anyone around. There were children outside playing. Someone had said to this woman, there's something going on. What's wrong with that person? She went to the window and looked and saw him. She said he was staring straight forward, walking in a path, paying no mind to anyone on the street. She said he looked like he had dead eyes as he walked through their street. We spoke with another neighbor who knew Bourque, of course, and he said that after he heard about the incident, after he heard about the suspect description, he actually went inside his friend's trailer, Justin Bourque's trailer, of course, the suspect, and said that he noticed that the gun cabinet in that trailer had been opened and that some of the guns had been removed. He said that Bourque was an avid hunter, an excellent hunter, and of course we know that there is a local gun shop not far from the shooting perimeter, and we know that some of Bourque's friends actually worked there. That gun shop issued a statement saying, although some of our employees knew this gentleman, that he never purchased any of the firearms at their facility, and that he was never employed by that facility, but in fact he did know some of those people. We did try and speak with one of those employees earlier today, and of course he sort of slammed the door in our face, but we did speak with his father. He said they were neighbors with the Bourque family quite some time ago, describes the family as a good family, saying that he feels so sorry for what's happened and feels very sorry for the family. He said that he'd seen Justin about a month ago. We asked him how he was, what sort of spirits he was in, and he didn't really want to get into it. He didn't want to comment any further out of respect for the family. Other people in town, when we went on door knocks and we went to different locations to ask people if they'd heard about this man, if they knew much about him, many people didn't know of him. It's a community of about 70,000, so it's small, but not that small, where not necessarily everybody knows everybody else, Lisa.
Although, Katie, these days, just having somebody's name is a gateway to so much knowledge, to a Facebook account or a Twitter profile. So what were you able to learn through social media about this suspect?
And that, of course, is something that has provided so much information. There is an account that apparently belongs to Justin Bourque, and it shows an individual who appears to have an obsession with guns. A number of pro-gun posts are on this website, as well as some song lyrics. The most recent post on that website were song lyrics from Megadeth about a man with a large eraser, and going on some very morbid, very frightening lyrics that were posted on that website. As well, there were, of course, some pro-military, anti-government posts on that Facebook page offering a glimpse into who this person possibly is. Again, police have not confirmed that this is the Facebook page belonging to him, but it is believed to be belonging to him, and a number of his friends on that Facebook page have spoken out to members of the media to discuss what they knew about this individual and exactly where his head was at.
And did any of them have any sort of insight in the sense that he had, paid a lot of attention to various mass shootings in the U.S. recently, or this sort of thing?
Not necessarily. We know that is something that has come up in a number of recent news stories that, of course, that we've seen. We see these trails, these digital trails on social media, including Twitter and Facebook. But in this case, the friends that did reach out, they discussed how he would often be cleaning his guns. He did have, he quite liked the weapons that he owned. It's unclear where he obtained those weapons, how he obtained those weapons, but he was an excellent hunter, and that was something he took a lot of pride in. It's unclear exactly what his life journey was to be. Many young individuals going to university, trying to get a career path underway. But we know that back in 2010, he was working at Walmart, and then it's unclear if he was fired or let go or exactly what led to there. Walmart Canada saying that he did work for them for some point of time. From there, it's unclear. Did he go back to school? Was he working in other sorts of jobs in and around Moncton? The only thing police will confirm was that he is a resident of Moncton. Some friends have spoken out to say that he did have some issues at home. He had some issues with authorities. One friend spoke out telling Business Insider that he was fired from Walmart because he had such a problem with authority and didn't like to take direction. Other friends have spoken out saying that there were issues at home with his parents. But again, police have not gone down that route to explain any sort of information they've obtained from friends or from his family.
I thought it was particularly chilling to hear your account of the woman who lived in that same trailer park community. What was it like there? Was it tidily kept, his trailer, from the exterior, or what more can you tell us about where he lived?
We were there several times. The actual trailer that he lives in, it was well kept, and there was actually some children's playware outside, a little sandbox or a little picnic table and a little castle outside. It was tidily kept, as well as some of the other properties in there, but then there were some issues, some properties that weren't as neat as the others. But it's that woman who gave us that account of what she noticed when she saw the suspect walking down the street. Someone had said to her to look at what was going on, and she noticed him. She said he had dead eyes when she looked at him, that he was walking in a straight path, that he wasn't looking at anyone. He wasn't paying attention to any civilians, and she took note of that, and she called 911, called the RCMP, and she says she feels that he was possibly targeting people targeting the RCMP because he was paying no attention to anybody else, and he looked like he was on a mission. That's just one account from one witness who saw him in and around the time these shootings took place. And of course, it's not far from where this checkpoint perimeter is. The perimeter that has now been taken down, it was quite large through North Moncton, and the trailer park isn't far from one of these checkpoints. It's about 600 meters down the road. And when our crews went there earlier this afternoon, residents were willing to speak to us, including another neighbor who said that when he heard the description, when he'd heard what happened, he immediately went into his friend's trailer and noticed the gun cabinet. And we know that, according to friends, that he often was cleaning his guns. Again, this is according to friends. He was an excellent hunter, and he was quite fond of those weapons that he had. Again, unclear where they came from, unclear how he obtained them. But he noticed that when he went into that trailer, when they opened up the gun cabinet, it had been opened and that some of the weapons were gone. So it's unclear exactly what police are doing to process that. When we were there earlier today, Lisa, they didn't have a police perimeter around there. It's not necessarily deep inside the other areas where you have to go through a police checkpoint or you're stopped at a police checkpoint.
And we actually have a shot of that. Katie, thank you for the update from where you are. We have a shot of the street where RCMP say Justin Bourque was arrested. There is a live shot of that street in a neighborhood where we spoke to the young woman who saw it unfold with her own eyes. Another community now has, these sad allegiances that are built with any community that has experienced this kind of a mass shooting. Peter Ackman is also covering this story from Moncton from the very beginning. And Peter, I understand there were actually signs going up today saying Moncton strong, almost in solidarity with what Boston went through last year.
Well, absolutely, and they feel that there's a very similar situation that unfolded for them. Just if you hear the cheering, the people going by, people really, they have smiles on their faces. They're out in this terrible weather. It is not so warm, and the RCMP officers who, for the last 12 hours, these two gentlemen that are just over here, they have been stopping cars, they have been carrying shotguns and revolvers, making sure vehicles aren't coming through. This is the main checkpoint into the restricted area. They put their guns away, they have their hands in their pockets, they have big smiles on their faces, and they're just chatting with people who have been living under this for the last day or so. And they themselves, they say, talk on camera with me at this point without permission from the RCMP, but they told me that they want people to know they are very happy today, but tomorrow they have to focus on the colleagues that they've lost. They have to focus on the sad part of this story, and the business that they have to get down to is figuring out why this rampage happened, why their colleagues were shot down the way they were. But they say tonight is a night to honk your horn, smile, and talk to their friends.
No, absolutely, Peter. Thank you so much for this. From the scene there, certainly it is one of the most beautiful parts of this country and the friendliest. And after a day of sheer terror, I'm sure, locked in their homes, some very dramatic news tonight with the RCMP arresting Justin Bourque. Here is the footage. Arrest made at 12:10 local time. Our coverage will continue on CTV News Channel, and CTV National News is coming up.